Well, hey, this is Harriet in Harriet's Florida Kitchen. This is my kitchen. That's Florida. So today we are going to make Tabasco jelly. Now this is my wonderful son Thompson's partner Joanne said, I think that you need to take advantage of all of the extra bounty in your garden and make jelly. And so it's been a while since Joanne's been here, so she's forgotten that here in the sky garden of our condo, we don't have quite as fulsome a crop as she might have imagined. So instead of going out and just buying fruit, which of course you can do for this, and since I didn't have a farmer's market nearby, because things were a little dodgy, because we're still dealing with coronavirus and all that, and availability, I decided I would make an old family favorite of ours, which is Tabasco jelly, which is just plain old hot pepper jelly, only made with Tabasco, and it is a great recipe. I know you hear me say that every time, but it really, I only make the recipes I really like. So the reason this looms large in our legend is because I got this recipe from an old friend named Kit Bryan, who used to have wonderful parties before a kind of a Mardi Gras-like celebration we have in Tampa called Gasparilla. So I had on a fabulous black evening gown, not quite strapless. It had a little bit of spaghetti straps, and it was low. Wonderful, in those days everything sort of worked very nicely and stood up the way it was supposed to. So I had on this great evening gown. And she had made hot pepper jelly, homemade Tabasco jelly, and she was serving it, as we often do, on cream cheese with crackers. And I had just picked up a cracker and put some cream cheese on it, little hot pepper jelly on it, and was just about to take a bite when somebody said, "Oh, Harriet, I'd like for you to meet Philip." And I had just taken a bite. It cracked in my hand. Half of it went down my dress, right down, and stuck. Cream cheese side in stuck to my stomach. Thank goodness it didn't get on my dress. So naturally I had to quickly say, "How do you do?" and then leave to go to the bathroom to extract the cream cheese and the cracker. He married me anyway, and we are so happy 43 blissful years later. But you can see that I think that the Tabasco jelly did the trick. It just made me a little different. It's what maybe in today's pickup world you would call a neg. I'd certainly considered it to be a neg at that particular moment. So the first thing that you do is you get all of your pots and pans out. And so I'm going to lift this up so you can sort of see what I've done. I have a great big canner that I got when I was in college. I still have it. And see if it doesn't fall into this. I've started boiling it, and it has a kind of a thing in it, that you put your pots, you put your cans in, not cans, your jars. And I have a great big, not great big, but I mean a tall, nice, thin pot for actually making the jelly. And I've already started on the back burner. I'm doing a little pot, which I'm going to put the jar lids in. Now this recipe makes enough for, it says 6 or 7 half pints, and I haven't done it in a while, so I'm not totally sure exactly how many half pints it makes, but I know that it may be more than 6, so I'm ready in case there's a 7. No problem. Now, let's see, is that still filled? No, it's not. You know what, that is not a great pot for that. I'll just do it in a bigger pot. So I'm going to put these into this much larger pot. The main thing is that those pan lids have to boil everything has to boil for 15 minutes. Now, you can put your jars into the dishwasher, and you can run them if you are organized enough to know exactly when your dishwasher is going to finish, which I never do. And if you know exactly, anyway, the jars have to be hot when you put the jelly in. So instead of that, it's easier for me to time it if I just put the jars into this big pot and I boil them, and I know they've boiled for 15 minutes. So then then it works out fine. All right, now, so I'm going to show you. This is not that tricky. Now, because this is already hot, I haven't actually gotten out my fabulous jar thing yet, so I'm just going to show you. You can use any kind of a thing like this that they fit right in. You can't even see through the steam, but I know because I measured before I turned this on that there is enough water in this to cover these glass jars. And I'm not going to do a steam bath. The thing about jellies is, I always do worry about ptomaine poisoning. I really don't want to get botulism or something. But with something sweet like this, if you have really sterile jars, you're going to be okay, and you don't have to do a steam bath or a pressure cooker bath afterwards. Okay, those are all in there, and those are gonna. And now, so I have the jars boiling, and they'll boil in a minute. And then I have the pots and pans boiling. So put the lid on that, and then we'll start the actual jelly. So this is always interesting when I put this right on the stove. I do hope someday it doesn't burst into flames. Okay, so this is Kit's recipe, the one that I actually wrote down when she dictated it to me. So one of the first things went in my little book. So it calls for, the first thing is it calls for a cup of minced green pepper. Now, faithful viewers from other shows will remember that I don't like green pepper very much. So this says to take the green pepper, to mix it with a bottle of Tabasco sauce and 1.5 cups of cider vinegar, put it all in a food processor or a blender, mush it up, and then you pour in with the other ingredients. The thing about that is I feel you get too much green pepper in that. The juice is part of the problem for me. So I have already put it in the food processor. I have put in 2 pretty good sized green peppers, and I have really pureed them. And so those are going to go in, just go ahead and go right in the pot. Next, I'm going to put the next ingredient, which is the bottle of Tabasco. I know you cannot believe an entire bottle of Tabasco goes in, but that is really and truly what you do. And you know, they've made Tabasco a little easier to deal with because I think they've made the mouth a tiny bit larger. I think I've heard that they sell more Tabasco because it's actually easier to get out. So that makes sense, doesn't it? So that's going in there. Let's see if you can see that properly. Yes, you can. And so after we do the Tabasco, we're going to do 1.5 cups of cider vinegar. Oh, it does still take a while to get the Tabasco out, doesn't it? All right. Miss Paul McElhaney a whole lot. I went to school with my husband. All right, here we go. 1.5 cups of cider vinegar. Yes. And we're going to turn on the burner, turn it on high, and now we're going to mix all of that together. I like that spoon. No, I don't want to use that because it's too noisy. Let's use this spoon. Okay. And notice I'm using a nice high pot because the thing is, when you're talking about boiling sugar, you don't want it to get on you. Oh, yuck! That is a very big piece. I'm just going to get rid of that. Okay. And I did measure it out. I do know that it is exactly a cup. Now, all those other slightly larger pieces, those are kind of, those are going to get soft. They're going to be fine. And most people don't hate green peppers the way I do. Now, if you want to, and you don't mind green peppers, go ahead and do it the way I'm going to tell you in the recipe. Now, don't forget where the recipe is. Look down below. Now, I always get this wrong. So it's on I think it's on my left where the recipe is. Anyway, you'll see that it says, it says the name, it says the description, and next to that is an arrow. Or if there's no arrow, you just go ahead and scroll down, and it says show more, and you'll see where the recipe is. Anyway, so you'll see that you're supposed to combine those 3, and that'll combine the juice as well. And so for you, that's fine if you like green peppers. For me, it is disgusting. So this will now, I'm going to bring this to a boil, and I'm also going to start now, I'm going to put the sugar into this 6.5 cups. I just thought, how tedious for you to have to watch me measure that out. So the 6.5 cups are going in there. And those are the first 4 ingredients. And that's what we're going to do. So let's stir it up. And let's hurry so it doesn't turn into Christina's Flan's caramel. All right. Now, I'm going to turn off the camera. So, and then I'll come back as soon as it comes to a high boil, which is what we're trying to do. As you can see, there's quite a lot of excitement going on here. So this is definitely at a rolling boil. Gosh, maybe you really can't see that. Yeah, rolling boil that cannot be stirred down. There's no way that's going to be stirred down. So we are now going to remove it from the heat. Just look at the recipe real fast. We're going to remove it from the heat. Turn this down. Move this over here. So you can still see. Move this over here. And we're going to wait 10 minutes until it has just cooled only a slight amount. And in the meantime, then we're going to come back. Well, are we going to do that? I was just going to say that we can get rid of the foam, but there isn't a lot of foam. Sometimes there really is, but this looks nice and clear. This looks beautiful, as a matter of fact. All right, so as soon as this is gone for 10 minutes, I'll be back, and we will start putting we will put the surto in, which is a very important part. We're just about ready. Now, one of the things we're going to do is prep the surto. Surto is this amazing stuff. A lot of people really are great jelly and jam makers, and they make it with sugar, and they can test it, and they can tell exactly where it is. And sometimes I can do that with some fruit, but with this recipe, it is so foolproof, so I just do it exactly the way Kit said to do it. So the surto comes in a box like this, usually, and there are about 3 in them. And if you're in another country, I'm not sure quite what we can do about that. But in America, you can get this. So you cut off the top and hold it like that. And then as soon as it's ready to go into the pot, let me pour that in. The timer's been off long enough to do this. So you prop it up like that so you're ready, and in it goes. And I just sort of mash it over the side of the pan to get all of it out. This. Okay. There's the surto. And we stir that. Then the jars have been boiling happily. Boil for 15 minutes to be sterile. And we know the pan lids have, so I'll turn that off. And I'll turn this one off as well. So, get the lid off. See this? Yes, you can. Okay. Put this forward a little bit. Turn it off. And I have these great jar lifters. So you can lift it with this got, it's in a handy thing, but it's a little bit hard because that's hot too. So you take out the jars as quickly as you can, and you put them on, get the water out, making sure that you do not burn yourself. And lift them out like this. None of this is all that easy to work with, just because you're working with super hot stuff. Right, it goes in there. And this one can come up. Okay. And I think if I had one of those cool gloves that is a silicone glove, that I could pull up the holder that holds the jars. So, note to self, that's something that probably I do need. I don't need a lot of kitchen stuff, but that would be cool. Because as you can, well, I can't even show you what it looks like. Okay, and also, now that's closed in, so I can't get that. So we have another set of tongs. That will be fine. So, next thing is, I have this great thing that I have already sterilized. And it's, I've never been able to find another one. It's an antique. But it's great gorge. It's a great shape for scooping stuff out. Okay, so then I pour it into the jars as quickly as I can. Like this. And this. Using one of my favorite dish towels from my friend Motsy. Just saying, Motsy, don't think I don't love it all. Hold on. All right. I'm going to do just 6 at first. See if we have any extra. Usually I have just enough extra in that 7th one, but I can put it in the refrigerator for us. And I don't put any wax or anything on top of it. I just pour them in the jars and make them as full as I can. So that is within about a quarter or an 1/8 of an inch from the very, very, very top, which I'll show you a close-up of in just a second. Right, they're getting there. They're getting there. For 5, okay. So that's in there. Maybe 6, okay. Yes, all right. A little more in this one, a little more in this one, a little more in this one. little more in this one. Right down the rest into this last jar. Okay. Fine. Put it over here. Now, really important thing to do, paper towels, let's see, is a hot paper towel that I can quickly get get any sugar off the top because they won't seal properly. And any over here, any over here. And if they don't seal, nothing could be more depressing. All right, so I'm going to put the lids on. Now get these lids off. Asbestos fingers. And showing out of drama, it's very thrilling. Here. Okay, like this. Be careful, don't get so casual that you forget and put your fingers in that water. So it's boiling hot. Okay, these two are together, apart. Voodoo, I think that's going to seal. Okay, and here, and now, put the lids on. Now, the trick is to go ahead and get this screw right closed. Okay. That's something else in the oven. Don't worry. All right, now these are nice and tight. Hold them to just a little bit. And what's really cool is when they seal so quickly that they start to go. But just in case, we could do kind of British form of sealing, which is you dump them like that, and that makes for a really good seal. All right, that, and one more, which is for the family pot.